Hello Western Oregon sports fans, and welcome to this edition of Wolves Weekly. I'm joined for the first time this year by head men's basketball coach Craig Stanger. Coach Stanger, great to have you on the program.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Coach, you're coming off a pair of games this last week at a home tournament, the WOU Phoenix Inn D2 shootout. First of all, you got your first win of the season on Friday night against Dominican. Tell me a little bit about that team.
We did get our first win. We're really excited about that because that was a very good opponent. One of the things about this tournament is we knew both of the opponents coming in were very skilled. And I think Dominican's going to do quite well in their region and especially in their conference back east. Didn't know a lot about them since they're from so far away, but they had a definite good post player and some very, very quick guards that were a concern for us, but I thought our guys played very, very well in getting the other team out of what they like to do.
And then you came back, you played well against them. As you said, you did a pretty good job against that big guy, and you had some good, strong performances out there. Colton Nelson kind of stepped up on Friday night.
Colton is a great player. He provides a unique matchup for a lot of teams. Usually the biggest or one of the biggest players on the court, but yet he still has the finesse to shoot the three ball on the perimeter, and we like that. It allows us to stretch defenses, and other big men can't just stay in the middle and plug it up. They have to come out and guard him, or he's gonna shoot it.
Fantastic. And then you come back on game the next day on Saturday against Hawaii Pacific. You got down a little bit early, but you guys continued to fight and make a tough game out of it.
We did, and I'm very disappointed in how we played in the first half. But that's something we're learning is how to play consistent, and I think we're definitely showing some good signs of that as compared to the first few games of the year. And they're a good team. They really attacked us and got us on our heels. In the second half, the guys responded well, became the aggressors, and that's key. For us to be successful in our defensive packages, we have to be the aggressors and really get other teams reacting to us.
And along those lines, this was the first opportunity for the Western Oregon sports fans to see the 2010-11 version of the Western Oregon men's basketball team. And we were able to see some very strong performances out there. First of all, let me start by Colton Nelson, who you touched on a little bit, who got all-tournament performer. Talk to me about him.
We do have a lot of new faces, and although Colton was on our team last year, he's assuming a different role, a much different role this year. Currently our starting five-man. And so he's going to get a lot more minutes than he got last year, and there's a lot more pressure in that position now than there was last year. It's a little different coming off the bench as opposed to being the starter. But he's done a very nice job of controlling things inside. We want to see him be a little more inside, which we're working on. But he provides some good energy and does a nice job, especially like we said earlier with the three-point line.
And then next, another returner that you have, second team all-conference performer last year, Blair Whedon.
Well, Blair, as our starting point guard, is our energizer. He's the guy making the decisions, did a real nice job. He's been leading us in assists, and that's very helpful. It's very important, as well as being one of our leading scorers. He has a knack for knowing when to attack and knowing when we need to slow down and set things up, and so that's very important, and we're really looking towards his leadership this year.
And his backcourt mate for the second year in a row, Kyle Long, scored 25 points over the weekend.
Kyle is starting to get into his flow really well. He got dinged up just a little bit in practices just prior to the start of the season. That has slowed him a little bit, but he's about full strength now, and you're starting to see it in his tempo and the way he plays. He's a very aggressive player. We like what he can do. He's a difficult matchup. He can not only shoot the perimeter shot, but he is really good at getting to the basket. And we try to set up opportunities for him to do that.
So taking care of three of the starters. Talk to me about your number 4, the GNAC reigning freshman of the year, Terrence Glenn.
You know, Terrence is a really good athlete and an explosive player, what I like to call a flow player. He can make a lot of things happen at both ends of the floor. And he's an exciting player to watch. You know, hopefully the people that have been to the games can see that, and he makes things happen. He was actually key in our second half comeback against Hawaii Pacific, even though we fell short. You know, his energy, his defense, and transition game really opened things up and allowed us to make that comeback.
Okay, and then we talked too, you mentioned, you brought in quite a few newcomers. We got to see Jamal Veal have some minutes out there, Chris White, Jordan Freelander, but the one that really impressed me out of this one was your freshman of the group, D'Angelo Davis. Came off the bench on Friday night, scored 13 points. Talk to me about what D'Angelo Davis, you hope to have him provide for you this year, and the program in the future as a whole?
Well, we're very pleased with D'Angelo's progress right now. He is just a freshman. You're not always certain what you're going to get with freshmen. It sometimes takes a little bit to go that transition from high school to college. But he's done an exceptional job and understands the game, understands flow and spacing, and that helps very well, especially playing with players like Whedon and Long and Colton Nelson. He fits in really well. That's going to be one of our biggest hurdles, our biggest obstacles right now, particularly early in the season, is getting new players like D'Angelo and like some of the others that you mentioned to play well and be involved with those returners. Not only do they need to understand the offensive and defensive schemes, but they have to make that adjustment from either junior college or high school ball to the Division II level, and a lot of times that's a formidable task.
You talked about the key of making that adjustment right there, but there's got to be a number of other keys for you throughout the year. I'd like to have you talk to me a little bit about some of those other keys. Basically, let's just start as the generic one of shooting, both shooting from the field and from the free throw line.
We're starting to see an improvement in our shooting, and again, I think that is the guys are starting to get more comfortable with each other, getting to feel more comfortable with the offense. In the early going, they're still feeling things out, and if you're thinking and not just playing, then it's going to have an impact on your shooting ability. One of the better shooters you're going to see is Jamal Veal, and that's one of the reasons we brought him in, and he's an excellent shooter, and he's starting to show that ability and hit a couple of big threes this past weekend. And so it's very important. The other thing is free throws. We've been, in my mind, below par in that area this past weekend, but that's something we're working on and can definitely be improved. We're a good free throw shooting team, and now we just need to go show that.
Talk to me about the rebounding, the work on the boards over there.
The rebounding is a challenge for us, particularly with the defense that we play. It's going to mean that we are spread out at times, and so it has to be a concerted effort for us to really go and attack the glass. We can't just turn and watch, and so that's a work in progress with our group. I really applaud our effort, though. We've got a good attitude, a good approach to it. We just need to further instill our habits, and as we do so, we're going to be a good rebounding team.
And also, early on in this year, we've seen a decrease in the number of points the opponents are scoring. They're down almost 4.5 points per game. Talk to me a little bit about what the defensive keys are in your second year running the zone as your primary defense.
It is the second year, although it's actually a different variation of what we did last year, but the concepts are still the same. We're working to slow teams down a little bit, get them to have to think outside of their normal routines, and by so doing we feel it's to our advantage and they will not shoot as well. And this past weekend I think is evident, or shows good evidence of that. Both teams were held to less than 40% shooting from the field, and that's one of our team goals. And so I was really proud of our guys that in spite of all the offensive rebounds we did give up, we still managed to keep their shooting percentage under 40%. And so that's, I think that's a tribute to what we can do with this defense. It also forces teams to shoot some early threes or some ill-advised threes and rush those shots a little bit. And so I'm encouraged. We are currently holding teams to about 27% from the three-point line, which is a significant improvement over last year, and we hope that trend continues.
And another one, which is kind of the mixture of offense and defense, turnover differential. I know that's a key in any sport that you have out there, basically. Your footballs, your basketballs, whatever it happens to be.
Yes.
Controlling the ball and not giving the other team extra possessions.
Well, that does always haunt coaches, and that's something we focus on a lot. I'm very encouraged because we were turning the ball over a lot in practice and in first of our couple of exhibition games and scrimmages. And a lot of that, I think, is attributed to the fact that we had so many new guys getting to know one another, not knowing if you're going to zig or zag and I throw the ball the other way. I mean, there was a lot of that. We've settled down. We're getting closer to our goals, and I look for us to continue to improve in that area. Already, I do think we're a little better at this point of the season than we were last year, and that's going to be key for us because we do have to value the ball. We have to make sure that we get as many good shot opportunities as we can, and if you turn the ball over, you know, that's just killer.
Okay. Well, Coach, your season continues this weekend. You host the second straight weekend. You have a home tournament this weekend, and this is a newly initiated Capital City Classic. I want you to tell me a little bit about this tournament and what features it has for the people in the local Salem area.
Well, we wanted to do something different. We are the only Division II team in the state, and so because of that, it's often hard for people to look for a rivalry game or something like that, and our opponents are often coming from far away. And we wanted to do something different and showcase small college basketball. And so we talked with the other schools in the area, Corbin and Willamette, and thought it would be a fun and enjoyable thing for the fans to see local small college basketball. You get a nice cross-section of NAIA, Division III and Division II, and then we bring in a fourth school to complete the tournament. And this is going to be an annual thing, and it's going to rotate among the 3 schools that are here locally. But we are hosting it first since it was our idea. But I think it's going to be a fun, exciting time. And hey, you got nothing better to do after you eat all that turkey and all that pie, so you might as well come out on the weekend and enjoy some good basketball. And
as Coach Stanger mentioned right there, the tournament will start on Friday night at 5 o'clock with Corbin taking on Willamette. After that, it'll be Western Oregon Wolves taking on Pacifica at 7 p.m. This will be a true traditional tournament format where the winners will play each other in the championship match at 7 o'clock on Saturday, and then the 2 teams that lose on Friday will face off at 5 o'clock on Saturday as well. So you get the traditional style after last week that is more of a structured style tournament. So we just want to let everyone know there are tickets still available for that game. You can call this number, 503-838-8449. You can also show up the day of the game and purchase tickets at the door. And remember, there is still a pass, the all basketball season pass available through the Western Oregon Athletic Department to come out and watch the men's basketball team and the women's basketball team and really enjoy a great winter season of Western Oregon athletics. To purchase that as well, call that 838-8449 number. And Coach, we look forward to having you. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to having you the rest of this year up here on Wolves Weekly.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you.